Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. Let read together. Have fun. This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. Chirp. The huge flying beast raised its head, opened its thick and sharp beak, and cried out deafeningly. It resembled a giant falcon. It did not look very likable at all. It was common to see a flying chariot being pulled by a flying beast. However, it was only suitable to be used in sparsely populated cities. Flying beasts such as this one were difficult to tame. They could easily go berserk. Once they lose control, they would cause harm to humans. Moreover, this did not seem like an ordinary beast. Mingxirin looked at the 5 individuals on the flying chariot before looking at the man who greeted him. Envoy from Roli? It's an honor to meet you, sir. The mustache of Lani, the Roli envoy, twitched when he spoke. He seemed like he was smiling, but at the same time, not. My friend, since you're near Golden Court Mountain, you must be a friend of the Evil Sky Pavilion. If you can introduce us, I will be forever grateful to you. Mingxirin said nonchalantly, you speak our language well. There's an academy to learn the language of Great Yen in Roli. That's where I learned it, Lani replied. Mingxirin was perplexed. Roli was engaged in a battle with the Liang province. Their 2 nations were practically at war. Why did Roli send its men to the Evil Sky Pavilion instead of to his eldest senior brother or the imperial family? As the saying went, beware of suspicious folk bearing gifts, they are sure to harbor ill intentions. Mingxirin scratched his head. He looked away and said, What? What did you say? I don't understand you. After that, he flew in another direction. This is important. Please thoroughly think this through, Lani said immediately. Mingxirin hovered in the air after flying several meters away. He looked back and said, how important is this? Are the skies falling? Lani was speechless. However, he said, not exactly. Then, there's nothing to worry about. Then, Mingxirin turned around, unleashed a grand technique, and vanished from their sight. Lani was left staring at the Golden Court Mountain's barrier with a stunned expression. He did not seem angered. Contrarily, a smile could be seen on his face as he said, I've spoken with many Great Yen people, but I've never met someone as unconventional as him. What an interesting fellow. Chief, shall we force our way through? One of Lani's subordinates asked. Are you out of your mind? This is the Evil Sky Pavilion. We're not here for a fight. Moreover, this barrier isn't ordinary. We won't be able to easily breach it. What should we do then? Wait. In the afternoon, Mingxirin returned again. He hovered in the air and saw Lani and the others still waiting at the foot of the mountain. When Lani saw Mingxirin, he stood up at once. We meet again, my friend. You guys sure are determined. We won't leave until we meet the master of the Evil Sky Pavilion. Lani was worried that Mingxirin might disappear again, so he hastily added, this has something to do with the secret of the 9-leaf stage. Please help us obtain a passage, my friend. Chirp. The winged beast cried out deafeningly again. The 9-leaf stage? Mingxirin went on alert immediately. He did not agree to help them immediately. Instead, he said, wait here. He turned around and passed through the barrier. When Lani saw the blue barrier, he smiled confidently. At his side, his subordinate said, Chief, he won't meet us as well. He will. Any expert in this world would be curious about the 9-leaf stage. The Evil Sky Pavilion's master is no exception to this, Lani said confidently. I heard that he's already at the 9-leaf stage. Why would he be interested? The subordinate asked. Lani placed his hands on his back and said, firstly, if he's truly at the 9-leaf stage, that makes him the first 9-leaf expert in the cultivation world. A person like that will be most interested in maintaining his status. What do you think he'd do if 9-leaf cultivators pop up one after another? When the subordinate heard this, his eyes gleamed and immediately slid a thumb over his throat. Secondly, if he's not a nine-leaf cultivator, it means the rumors are fabricated by Great Yen and the evil Sky Pavilion. That will be the opportunity for us to take Liang province with Lu Lan. The subordinate looked fearfully respectful. He bowed and said, "That's brilliant, Lord Lanny." However, another person said, "What if he's really at the nine-leaf stage?" Lanny scoffed and said, "The avatars of humans are based on their own figures. If severing the Golden Lotus allows them to reach the nine-leaf stage, then Roly, with our belief in the Wolf King, will certainly have an advantage. When that moment comes..." He paused dramatically. "It will be the beginning of the end of Great Yen." At this moment, a figure floated down from above. Ming Shirin hovered in the air and said, "My master invites you up the mountain." Lanny turned back to glance at the box on his flying chariot and said, "Bring it up." Understood. The four of them admired and respected Lani even more now. Roly and Lu Lan were currently allies. They fought against the armies of Great Yen multiple times at the borders. Then, they joined in the battle at Liang province. After the Nether Sect conquered Liang province, Roly had been looking for an opportunity to snatch Liang province away while the situation had not been stabilized. With the appearance of a nine-leaf cultivator and the popularity of the lotus severing theory, Roly had to put its plans on hold. "Tiango, stay here." Lanny snapped his fingers. A ray of light shot out between his fingers into the winged beast's forehead. Tiango lied down obediently. Ming Shirin shook his head. It was clearly a bird, why did they have to name it Tiango, a heavenly dog? The five of them walked toward the evil Sky Pavilion, guided by Ming Shirin. A moment later, inside the evil Sky Pavilion's great hall. Lu Zhou sat on his seat in a stately manner. The Roly envoy, Lanny, walked into the hall with his fellow comrades. "Greetings, Pavilion Master. I am Lanny, a Rolyan envoy." The remaining four bowed. Lu Zhou glanced at Lanny. Name, Lanny Bonner. Race, Rolyan. Realm, Nascent Divinity Tribulation Realm. Lu Zhou bluntly said, "Let's hear it. What brings you here?" Lanny bowed again and said with a smile. "Esteemed Lord Pavilion Master, I heard that you're the first nine-leaf Golden Lotus elite in the cultivation world. That's why we made the effort to visit you. If it's possible, Roly wishes to be at peace with the evil Sky Pavilion." Ming Shirin said in confusion, "What's he talking about?" Duanmu Sheng frowned and said, "Don't interrupt, let him speak." Ming Shirin. Lanny looked at Lu Zhou and said, "We have two objectives for visiting the evil Sky Pavilion, to establish a positive relationship with the evil Sky Pavilion and to discuss the nine-leaf stage with you." Lu Zhou stroked his beard and said, "Is there someone in Roly who's at the nine-leaf stage now?" "Not yet." "How are you going to discuss anything if you don't have nine-leaf cultivators?" This question rendered Lanny speechless. Indeed, what ideas could they exchange or what discussion could they have if none of them had any idea about the nine-leaf stage? I'm sure these other tribesmen came here under these pretexts to verify the truth. Lanny bowed and said, "Please hear me out, Pavilion Master." "Let's hear it." "I'm from the Bonner family in Roly. About 1,900 years ago, my family received a certain object." Lanny waved his arm. The four individuals behind him brought a long box forward. Lanny pointed at the box and said, "This is a coffin." Ming Shirin and Duanmu Sheng frowned. Duanmu Sheng suddenly shot out at lightning speed. Whoosh. 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 Spear shadows rained down ferociously. Lanny did not expect the people of the evil Sky Pavilion to attack without warning. He hastily retreated and dodged the attack. Bam. 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 The spear shadows rained down on Lanny like a storm. The other four looked frightened. Duanmu Sheng's spear techniques were clearly much more powerful than before. "Please hear me out, Pavilion Master." Lanny hastily cried out as he retreated. When he saw the spear shadows were about to hit him, he hastily added, "The coffin contains books about the nine-leaf stage. Bam. In the end, Lanny was struck by the spear's shadows. He flipped and reeled back. After stumbling a few steps back, his back slammed into a pillar. His chest was screaming in pain. His eyes widened as he sized Duanmu Sheng up. So powerful. Duanmu Sheng was also shocked by this man's defensive skills. Even Hua Wudao's tortoiseshell energy seal could not easily block it, and yet, this man only stumbled a few steps backward. Stand down. Lu Zhou waved his hand. Duanmu Sheng cupped his fists at Lu Zhou and went to the side. Lu Zhou looked at Lanny and calmly said, "Bring them to me." Lanny endured the pain in his chest as he waved his hand. He could only blame himself for acting rashly and bringing the coffin in without any explanation. After all, in Great Yen, this gesture was extremely disrespectful. One of Lanny's subordinates opened the lid and carried one of the thicker books before respectfully presented it to Lu Zhou. Lu Zhou looked at the book skeptically. The 9-leaf cultivation method? There were similar books sold on the streets of Great Yen. They were basically scams. Lanny hastily said, 1,900 years ago, my ancestors found this coffin on the shores of the northern border. The personal diary of my ancestors said that there was once a powerful 9-leaf cultivator inside this coffin. Ming Shirin said sarcastically, "Sure, we believe you." Lanny said in a clear voice, "I swear on the name of the Bonner family. If there is an ounce of untruth in my words, my family will be cursed to live as slaves for generations to come." Wow, that's harsh. Carry on, Ming Shirin gave him a thumbs up. Lanny lowered his voice and slowly said, "That cultivator remained in Roli for a month. He brought some books with him and left Roli. I heard that he came to Great Yen. Then, he was never heard of ever again." There were too many loopholes in Lanny's story. If there had really been a 9-leaf cultivator, why had nobody hailed him as a brilliant genius 1,900 years ago? Why was he not mentioned in the annals of history? There had never been rumors about him in the cultivation world as well. However, Lu Zhou was in no hurry to refute Lanny's claims. Instead, he opened the book. The cultivation method in the front pages was similar to Great Yen. In terms of cultivation theories, it was fundamentally similar to the Confucian, Buddhist, and Taoist societies. He skipped to the part of the book where the 9-leaf stage was concerned. Alas, he discovered the pages were smudged with ink, and the writings were almost illegible. There was only one line he managed to make out: "The people here are weak, but it's safe here. I hope that it remains like this forever." The words were writing in Great Yan's language. Lu Zhou frowned. He flipped through the other pages and realized they were illegible. Again, he saw the same line: "I hope it stays this way forever. I hope it stays like this forever. I hope that there is no 9-leaf stage in the world. I hope that there is no 10-leaf stage in the world. I like gold, not red." There were no cultivation methods. There were only scribbled lines of incohesive thoughts. It was like a prayer and a diary. Lu Zhou looked at Lanny standing in the Great Hall. Lanny bowed. The covers of the books are protected from decay by special formation veins. The veins are carved into the seams. They can attest to the age of the books. Lu Zhou closed the book. He saw dense veins running along the cover. Alas, they were faded and only a handful of them was still glowing red. In that instant, he remembered the line on the last page: "I like gold, not red." This was Lu Zhou's first time seeing red formation veins. He raised his palm and smacked the cover. Boom. The formation vein unleashed a mystical power. A red stamp shot toward the skies. Then, it scattered into the surroundings like butterflies. Due to their age, the stamps were feeble. The power they had stored was nearly depleted. Lu Zhou smacked the book with his hand again. He channeled his primal chi into the cover's veins. It immediately shone with golden radiance. The veins were renewed. The red veins faded away and were replaced by golden ones. Lanny nodded. There are 100 veins in total. Every vein can protect the book for 20 years. Every 20 years, one of the veins would fade. Lu Zhou raised his palm. His expression remained the same, but he was inwardly shocked. Indeed, this book was nearly 2,000 years. Do you know where the person inside the coffin is now? Lu Zhou asked. Lanny shook his head and said, my family has protected this item for generations. We're searching for that senior as well. We've received no information about the senior up until now. Lu Zhou stroked his beard and pondered. There had never been a shortage of people interested in digging out secrets in this world, especially when it was about the 9-leaf stage and the 10-leaf stage. At this moment, Lanny said, this is the sincerity of the Bonner family. I'm willing to give these to the Evil Sky Pavilion. It was expected for them to present the books as a gift, but the coffin was really inappropriate. If it were not an antique, Duanmu Sheng would have long thrown them out of the window. At this moment, Lu Zhou said, I'll accept them. His eyes darkened as he looked at Lanny and asked, what do you want? There was no free lunch in this world. One would not be given gifts without having to give something in return. Lanny placed his right hand on his shoulder and said in a gentlemanly fashion, I dare not ask for anything in return, but I do have one wish. Let's hear it. We would like to have a glimpse of the grand 9-leaf stage. Is that it? Lanny nodded with an eager expression on his face. Lu Zhou walked down the steps with his hands on his back as he said, Rolly has always had the ambition of wild wolves. You've trespassed on our borders numerous times. I'm afraid that a peace proposal is merely a pretext for you to verify something. Lanny's face fell. He quickly said, You've misunderstood me. A disguise card costs 10,000 merit points. How can I waste it on some other tribesman? What a joke. Lu Zhou stepped forward. Lanny took a step back. At this moment, a deafening cry rang from outside. Chirp. Mingxirin said, it's that livestock. He ran out of the great hall. In the skies, the huge winged beast flapped its 50-foot-long wings and squawked outside the barrier. My livestock is going berserk. I'll go tame it at once, Lanny hurriedly said. His 4 subordinates followed him out of the great hall. Lu Zhou waved his hand. Duanmu Sheng. Yes, master. Take them down. Yes, master. Although Lu Zhou did not know where these other tribesmen got their confidence from, since they were bold enough to play tricks on the Evil Sky Pavilion, they could not be allowed to leave. Having received the order, Duanmu Sheng picked up his overlord spear and pursued them. Swoosh. 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 Surrender. Duanmu Sheng would not listen to excuses, so he did not give a chance to speak. 100 spear shadows formed a ferocious spear seal as he attacked. Bam. 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 Lanny struck with both palms. His energy blocked the spear shadows, and he flipped backward before dropping to the ground. We came with sincerity. Why must the pavilion master be hostile? Lanny's eyes burned with fury. Lu Zhou walked past the coffin slowly. He was still curious about where Lanny Bonner had gotten his confidence from. He looked at the coffin beside him and saw it was densely covered in dark crimson veins. Defensive formation veins? They were more complicated and powerful than the ones on the book. Lu Zhou emerged from the great hall and looked up. The huge bird was starting to attack the barrier. Bam! Ripples spread across the barrier. Mingxirin said speechlessly, stop pretending. Even your bird can't take it anymore. Lanny frowned deeply. He glanced at Tiango and wondered, how could this be? Bam! Tiango charged toward Golden Court Mountain's barrier again. Duanmu Sheng could not stand this any longer. He advanced with his overlord spear. A battle royale instantly broke out before the great hall. Duanmu Sheng fought against 5 opponents on his own. Mingxirin did not jump in hastily. Instead, he observed Tiango in the skies. It was flapping its wings, sending blasts of energy winds at the barrier. At this moment, several energy arrows were launched from above the southern pavilion and struck Tiango's huge body. Bam. 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 These attacks were, naturally, from Hua Yueshing. Alas, she only managed to dislodge on its feathers. The other arrows were blocked with a movement of its wings. Chirp. The huge seemed extremely agitated. What is this? Mingshi Yin's eyes widened. Hua Yueshing was a three-leaf godly archer, and yet, she could not even handle the beast? Lanny turned to look at Lu Zhou as he fought and pleaded at the same time, Pavilion Master, this truly is a misunderstanding. Lu Zhou stroked his beard as he observed the huge bird in the skies. Just when he was about to use Unnamed and turned it into a bow to take the beast down, the mellifluous sound of flute rang in the air. It was slow and soothing, like the gentle churning of a stream between the trees of a forest. When the tune reached the area above the evil sky pavilion, the huge bird seemed to have calmed down and seemed to have regained its senses. Lanny's eyes widened. Impossible. The tune continued playing.